I am a voice shaped by generations who endured bondage, resistance, and the unbroken thread of dignity. Fredrick Douglass became a map and beacon for us, a man born into bondage who would teach the world that liberty is not merely a word, but a lived truth. His timeline begins in Maryland, where the grip of chattel enslavement sought to erase his personhood. Fredrick Douglass seized tools of education and cunning to survive, then escaped into a new life that demanded courage beyond measure. Fredrick Douglass crossed paths with abolitionists, journalists, and fellow travelers who believed in equality's possibility. Fredrick Douglass refused to submit to the lie that melanin-rich bodies lacked intellect, soul, or a righteous claim to citizenship. Fredrick Douglass chose the written word and the powerful spoken word as his instruments. Fredrick Douglass learned to read, to write, to argue, and to provoke, always with the patient strategy of persuasion and the unyielding force of truth. His voice carried the ache of our mothers, our fathers, our siblings, and our elders, who dreamt of a nation that would live up to its promises. When it came to the 4th of July, his contradictions burned bright in the public square. He spoke from a platform that celebrated freedom, while many of our ancestors remained enslaved. His rhetoric did not soft-pedal the pain. It highlighted a national hypocrisy that stained the commemoration with blood and so many broken promises. In his most famous address, "What to the Slave is the 4th of July?" Fredrick Douglass asked us to measure a nation's proclamations against its actual deeds. Fredrick Douglass acknowledged the honest zeal of the celebrants while insisting that real patriotism must include the emancipation of our enslaved ancestors. Fredrick Douglass challenged the country to reconcile its liberty rhetoric with the reality of bondage. Fredrick Douglass spoke with a cadence that mirrored our own oral traditions, where call and response and resonant memory carry truth across our generations. Fredrick Douglass refused to honor a day that celebrated liberty for some while denying it to our enslaved ancestors. His words made the hypocrisy a mirror in which we could see ourselves, and that mirror demanded response. Fredrick Douglass's critique was not rage without reason, but a stern, disciplined indictment. Fredrick Douglass celebrated what the Fourth stood for in principle, yet condemned the practice of chattel enslavement, which violated that very principle. Fredrick Douglass invited listeners to examine conscience, history, and law, and to act toward justice with humility, courage, and persistent effort. Fredrick Douglass reminded us that progress requires more than just mere rhetoric. It requires concrete action, abolition, political engagement, education, and the unwavering insistence that freedom be universal. Fredrick Douglass's example teaches that our melanin-rich culture leadership can shape public opinion, policy, and moral imagination, steering a nation toward a fuller, truer liberty. What is the 4th of July to the slave? A question Fredrick Douglass answered with devastating clarity. A day of national inconsistency, a ceremony that exposes a ceiling still too low, and a summons to rise, organize, and demand what belongs to every human being. Our history depends on remembering that call. To honor Fredrick Douglass's legacy and practice, read his writings, study his speeches, and support youth-led education and civil rights initiatives. If you want a practical next step, locate a reputable collection of his works and read aloud excerpts with trusted peers. Then reflect on how his insights apply today. As often as you can, share a concise summary with our melanin-rich culture youth so that they will benefit greatly for generations to come.
Abolishing racism begins in our homes through deliberate study of our own maps and stories, not in the hollow promises of distant institutions. My grandchildren learn heritage first, and that truth dismantles prejudice at its root.
Your mind is your superpower, but they never taught you how to use it. At Majestic Mind Matters University,
We unlock the history they hid, the culture they erased, and the strength they feared. From genetics to relationships, from ancient civilizations to modern love, we connect the dots they scattered. This isn't just education. This is reclamation. Welcome to the Melanin-rich culture nation. Your ancestors built empires. Now build your mind. Our melanin tells stories of resilience, innovation, and power that has shaped every continent. From ancient kingdoms to modern-day movements, we've been the architects of culture, science, and art. But our stories stay scattered, our voices divided. When we unite globally, we become unstoppable. Like and share to connect our melanin-rich culture diaspora. Subscribe for the truth they refuse to teach. Our melanin-rich culture is our strength. Our unity is our future.